One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hears battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he pays his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a freaking nightmare it's been the last 2 days on this live stream for the storms. The storms have been putting us, well, it's been shutting down all my shit. And so, well, we're here. Great to see everyone. Super frustrating, though, because this whole live stream is, it's kind of intense the way that you have to set this whole thing up on the software side. And then for some reason, my board, I don't know if it's because of the whole thing where we're losing power and then it's shorting my board or something like that. But for some really weird reason, I couldn't get the freaking thing. I had to switch out cords and everything to get it to work again. I'm not really sure what the deal is. Anyways, so we've got a big morning, as you guys see here. Obviously, the title says Comey indicted, as well as Hegseth grilled. That's happening all day today, actually. It's a whole hearing. And then Iran war latest. So, yes, we're going to be cooking this morning. All right, so let me go ahead and give you guys a chronological breakdown or timeline of what we're going to be discussing this morning. First off, like you guys know, DOJ indicts former FBI Director Comey for the second time. It says former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted a second time by the Justice Department. Fox News has learned this time in relation to an Instagram photo of an 8647 shell formation on a beach. So, yes, I remember when that shell formation, what they're talking about right there, was, spelled out 8647. Now, if anyone knows what those numbers mean, 86 means to basically kill. And then 47 is the 47th president of the United States. So, anyways, I do remember when I saw that and I thought, wow, they're just going to allow these people to talk like this. But whatever. Anyways, it sounds like he is being indicted for the second time. And James Comey actually comes out and gives a rebuttal, a response, and says, I'm innocent. Anyways, we have all of that for you guys. Then we're going to be talking about King Charles III delivers joint address to Congress. And I actually heard this was one of his best speeches ever. And you know who said that? Was because I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched little snippets from social media. Actually, I haven't watched it in full. But Piers Morgan said that he did the best speech he's ever done in his entire life. So we'll find out. We'll be the judge of that shit. And then we have Blanche Patel gives update after James Comey indicted for threats to harm Trump. And then we have White House Correspondents' Dinner. Shooting suspect expected to face more charges. Says we watched this week as Cole Thomas Allen, the 31-year-old suspect in the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, made his first court appearance as he faces multiple federal charges. Early reports have indicated that Allen allegedly told law enforcement after his arrest that he intended to target officials associated with President Donald Trump's administration. And we already know that from his fucking manifesto. I don't know why that's something like new, crazy information has come out. It's not. Anyways, ex-FBI director James Comey indicted over seashell post on social media. As you guys know, this is just an update on that. And then we have police update. A 5-year-old child and 2 men injured after DC shooting. What? What does this have to do? I wonder where this is at. It says, according to the partners of Fox 5, Washington, D.C., the Metropolitan Police Department is investigating a shooting that left a 5-year-old child and 2 adult men injured Tuesday evening, which is obviously last night. According to police, the initial call came in around 7:10 to 7:15 p.m., and authorities later confirmed that 3 victims were shot, including a child. The investigation remains ongoing. Man, and they're asking basically the people, anyone with information about this incident is urged to contact the local police department. Anytime that they go out, and ask for help like that, trust me, it's a tactic that is used in law enforcement widely and works. Anyways, global energy markets react to UAE set to leave OPEC this week. Now that is a major one, okay? The UAE is set to leave OPEC this week. And yes, that is in the news heavily this morning, or actually started late last night, like at midnight last night, they were talking about this. Then we have Comey response to DOJ indictment, says, I'm still innocent. And that was also at midnight, my time, by the way. And then we have suspect charged with attempted assassination of President Trump and White House correspondent shooting. This is 39 minutes ago. The man who authorities say tried storm the White House Correspondents Association dinner with guns and knives was charged Monday with the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump, as federal authorities suggested an attack that disrupted one of Washington's glitziest events that had been planned for at least several weeks. All right, so that's what we're looking at this morning. Let's real quick do the calls to actions, and then we'll get right into it. Make sure you guys hit the like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side, and also hit that subscribe. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and then, of course, members only on Saturday morning. Now, speaking of memberships, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for you guys in the video description down below, and there's an invite link for you guys to get into the Discord. So that's where we continue all the conversations after the show. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are of course all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen at any time. You guys can donate to that, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And of course, I'll read out loud your message just like a super chat. So I've got my email ready. I've got it up, and I'm always scanning. I'm trying to do really good at always be checking it. So thank you guys for being here. All right. Good morning to everybody, man. Sorry for the late little start there. Obviously, my whole system got nuked by, losing power last night, and everything was just dead. So I had to restart from scratch. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with us this morning. We got Charles Darwin up in the building, as well as Steve Posey. Shout out to you guys. Jimmy Mack, as well as Charlie Rose. Thank you guys for being here. We got Dylan Patterson as well. And Naomi throwing the little heart out. Yes, the red heart goes back to you. We got TVT as well in the building. Shout out to you up there in Canada. We got brother Steve Easy. Shout out to my man over there on the Beast Coast. We got Perez as well. Shout out to you. Good morning to everybody, man. Jimmy Mack is the man. Mr. Al Patterson, shout out to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Yes, it is a Whip 'em Out Wednesday. And yes, you are on the sane side today, Jimmy Mack. I see you over there. You like to be over there. I like to. You like to be in the chill zone. We got Cameron as well as 5150. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We got Fies up in the building over there on the Twitch side. Appreciate you for hanging out with us this morning. Hopefully you'll come over here and hang out with us on the YouTube side so you can hang out with all these legends. Let's see here. Doesn't pay his electricity bill. True.
Denied.
That's very true. No, the house, the structure itself has surge protectors, I guess, and then the outlets are surged, and then I have a panel, of course. So I don't really have anything other than that, though. We got Mr. Job up in here on the Facebook side. Good morning to you, kind sir. Great to see you. We got Tiffany Lance as well. Good morning. And Mr. Huggy. Yes, sir. Mike don't pay his electricity bills. He uses his G status to demand power. Yo! That is funny, yo. That's pretty freaking good. All right, let's go ahead and get serious here. We're getting serious. We're rolling on down. We got Jesse up in here saying, keep up the great work. I really appreciate that, Jesse. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning. We got Mr. Sterling Wheel. Good morning, kids from Holland, Michigan. Shout out to you, by the way. Hopefully you're driving safe. And let's see, we're going down. And unfortunately, Fies, I do stream to Twitch and all that stuff still, but the truth is, I don't maintain any of it. So I don't think the Discord link is going to be linked over there. Here, let me go ahead and actually get you the link. I think I can get you one. Give me a second here. I can pull it up. Let's see. Invite to server, copy link. Boom. All right. I'm going to put it in the chat. And for anybody that wants to join in, there's the link right there. So boom. All right, we're about to get into this craziness. We got Mr. Steve Posey, yes, sir, throwing a little good morning out there. We got Mr. Virginia Chaos in here as well. I don't see him yet, though. I see you guys talking to him. Oh, there he is. There he is, Virginia Chaos. I see you. All right, Fies Twit. There you are. I see you. I see you on this side. Great to see you. We got Sims. That is Job, by the way. Shout out to you. Lick it up with Poncho as well. All right. And Dean Savage over there in Israel. Always appreciate you guys. All right. Let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll quickly discuss what's going on here with Comey first. And then we'll get into King Charles next after that. Okay. So here we go.
All right. Welcome back into live now from Fox. I'm Ryan Schmelz. We do have.
Let me know if the audio is all good and all that stuff, because obviously all the levels have been changed. And well, not too much, but when everything gets shut down, it's a struggle.
Some breaking news to get to here. My colleague over at Fox, David Spunt, is reporting.
Question.
Why are you gay?
Just asking. I got to ask these questions.
That James Comey, the former FBI director turned fierce critic of President Trump, has been indicted for the second time. This time for an Instagram post that said 8647.
Yes, and that came out a long time ago. I mean, we're talking multiple months ago.
6 usually means to get rid of.
Rabbit of Chaos, good morning to you.
And then that was followed by the numbers 47, linked possibly to President Trump, the 47th president of the United States.
Right. It's very simple. 86 means to kill, and then 47 is the 47th president of the United States. It's pretty simple. We got No up in the building. Shout out to you,
Comey
by the way.
came
Good
under
morning.
intense scrutiny for doing that. We had heard that there might be rumblings the DOJ was looking into him, and now David
No, Michelle, I got you.
You are gay.
There we go.
Is reporting that James Comey, the former FBI director, has been indicted for a second time by the Department of Justice, this time for that 8647 post on Instagram. We have this from Bill Mallusion right here, colleague over at Fox News, Capitol reporter. Breaking. At Fox News colleague at David Spunt reports that former FBI director James Comey has been indicted again in relation to his 8647 seashell post on Instagram last year.
Yeah, see, I was thinking, fuck, it may have even been last year. Not, you know what I mean? It was obviously in 2025, I think. It may have even, no, it was 2025 when it happened.
He was appointed FBI director. I believe he was a lifelong Republican. He was the FBI director under President Obama initially. Those terms last a pretty long time, and then he ended up becoming the FBI director under President Trump.
What's up, brother Blair?
As well, President Trump and him did not see eye to eye on numerous issues. And
Michelle, if you're talking about me, just so you know, Trump is way too much of a liberal for me. I'm too way far right compared to Trump. So, no, I actually don't like Trump like that. There's a few things, of course, that he's done that I do appreciate and like, but a lot of what he's doing right now is fucked up. So pass your judgment back to yourself. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier to throw fingers than it is to point thumbs. Take accountability, Michelle, and just know that you're a complete bitch.
Eventually left the Department of Justice and left his position as the FBI director. President Trump and him became fiercely critical of one another.
No doubt.
He eventually put on Instagram a post showing seashells, essentially, and they were a line saying 86 and 47 together. As we said before, 86 usually means a term like get rid of, and then 47, people link that.
Get rid of, you mean kill.
To President Trump, the 47th president of the United States. So here we have this. Breaking Fox News. James Comey indicted again, this time over controversial 2025 Instagram post.
So, by the way, Michelle, if you want any more attention than what you've already got, because I'm already giving you way too much, you can send me money. Otherwise, I'm just going to block you.
Seen as targeting President Trump.
Okay, you're
Sources
blocked.
tell
See you,
at David Spunt.
Later, loser. All right, so we're going to move on into King Charles, by the way. And by the way, don't rest easy, everybody. She's over here watching me. Always remember that. All right, we got King Charles III delivers joint address to Congress. Let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll quickly discuss it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Now, according to Piers Morgan, he says this was the best speech King Charles has ever done in his entire life. Now, are we going to watch this whole thing? Probably, obviously not. We don't have time for it. But we will get a bit of it.
Vice President, Mr. Speaker.
And I'm also going to put it on 1.25. Here we go.
Members of Congress, representatives of the American people across
KP,
all
good
states,
morning.
territories, cities, and communities. I would like, if I may, to take this opportunity to express my particular gratitude to you all for the great honor of addressing this joint meeting of Congress. And on behalf of the Queen and myself, to thank the American people for welcoming us to the United States to mark this semi-quincentennial year of the Declaration of Independence.
Now, everyone's going to get clapping here. I guarantee
And
it.
for all of that time,
Yes, sir. Called it. He's like, oh, shit. I didn't realize that was going to cause this big of a ordeal. Everyone stand up. Everyone stand up. Just get to standing up. Look at him.
and for all of that time, our destinies as nations have been interlinked. As Oscar Wilde said, we have really everything in common with America nowadays, except, of course, language. So, ladies and gentlemen, we meet in times of great uncertainty, in times of conflict.
What's up, Joseph, up there in Canada? Shout out to my man. And yes, he says, good morning, Mr. Ball, Breakfast Crew, Bob, Big Booty Latinas everywhere. Can't forget the haters. Stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
Love that shit. Love it. Absolutely. Michelle's sitting there watching you eat your big ass sandwich. That's true, bro. That is very
Man,
true.
motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
Shit.
From Europe to the Middle East, which pose immense challenges for the international community and whose impact is felt in communities the length and breadth of our own countries. We meet too in the aftermath of the incident not far from this great building that sought to harm the leadership of your nation and to foment wider fear and discord. Let me say with unshakable resolve, such acts of violence will never succeed.
And you got to remember that this is him addressing Congress. So you got, of course, he got the Democrats and the Republicans all in there. And it was a pretty unified room. No kidding, Fies. I know. I know. Bear with us.
Whatever our differences, whatever disagreements we may have, we stand united in our commitment to uphold democracy, to protect all our people from harm, and to salute the courage of those who daily risk their lives in the service of our countries. Standing here today,
What's up, Pops? My man, great to see you in the chat, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday. I definitely know that we are. And by the way, everybody that's coming in, just hanging out with us, make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side.
it is hard not to feel the weight of history on my shoulder, because the modern relationship between our two nations and our own peoples spans not merely 250 years, but over 4 centuries. It is extraordinary to think that I am the 19th in our line of sovereigns to
What's up, the
study
bits?
with
Good
daily
morning.
attention the affairs of America. So I come here today with the highest respect for the United States Congress, this citadel of democracy created to represent the voice of all American people to advance sacred rights and freedoms. Speaking in this renowned chamber of debate and deliberation, I cannot help but think of my late mother, Queen Elizabeth, who in 1991 was also afforded this signal honor
Shit. In 91, I was -4.
and similarly spoke under the watchful eye of the Statue of Freedom above us. Today, I am here on this great occasion in the life of our nations to express the highest regard and friendship of the British people to the people of the United States. Now, as you may know, when I address my own Parliament at Westminster, we still follow an age-old tradition and take a member of Parliament hostage, holding him or her at Buckingham Palace until I am safely returned. These days, we look after our guests rather well, to the point that they often do not want to leave.
Now I think he just made a fucking joke about his own immigration.
No, Mr. Speaker, if there were any volunteers for that role here today. As I look back across the centuries, Mr. Speaker, there emerge certain patterns, certain self-evident truths from which we can learn and draw mutual strength. With the spirit of 1776 in our minds, we can perhaps agree that we do not always agree, at least in the first instance. Indeed, the very principle on which your Congress was founded, no taxation without representation, was at once a fundamental disagreement between us, and at the same time a shared democratic value which you inherited from us. Ours is a partnership born out of dispute, but no less strong for it. So perhaps in this example, we can discern that our nations are in fact instinctively like-minded, a product of the common...
Instinctively like-minded? No, we don't like getting completely annihilated in the aspect of immigration. No, we don't support that. We don't support bringing a whole bunch of other people here and literally erasing our own history. Yeah, that's what we're not for that.
Democratic, legal, and social traditions in which our governance is rooted to this day. Drawing on these values and traditions, time and again, our two countries have always found ways to come together. And by Jove, Mr. Speaker, when we have found that way to agree, what great change is brought about, not just for the benefit of our peoples, but of all peoples. This, I believe, is the special ingredient in our relationship. As President Trump himself observed during his state visit to Britain last autumn, the bond of kinship and identity between America and the United Kingdom is priceless and eternal. It is irreplaceable and unbreakable.
All right, we'll skip ahead. Past the claps. We're still clapping.
Mr. Speaker, this is by no means my first visit to Washington, D.C., the capital of this great republic. It is, in fact, my 20th visit to the United States and my first as King and head of the Commonwealth. This is a city which symbolizes a period in our shared history, or what Charles Dickens might have called a tale of two Georges. And my 5 times great-grandfather, King George III. King George, as you know, never set foot in America. And please rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, I am not here as part of some cunning rearguard action.
You know what I do like about it, though, is he put a lot of little funny lines in there for himself, you know. And he did get a reaction from these guys.
The founding fathers were bold and imaginative rebels with a cause. 200...
Man, let the motherfuckers speak.
250 years ago, or as we say in the United Kingdom, just the other day, they declared independence. By balancing contending forces and drawing strength into diversity, they united 13 disparate colonies to forge a nation on the revolutionary idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They carried with them and carried forward the great inheritance of the British Enlightenment, as well as the ideals which had an even deeper history in English common law and Magna Carta. These roots run deep, and they are still vital. Our Declaration of Rights of 1689 was not only the foundation of our constitutional monarchy, but also provided the source of so many of the principles reiterated, often verbatim, in the American Bill of Rights of 1791. And those roots go even further back in history. The US Supreme Court Historical Society has calculated that Magna Carta is cited in at least 160 Supreme Court cases since 1789, not least as the foundation of the principle that executive power is subject to checks and balances.
All right. So at least you guys got a little bit out of that. I was able to get, I told you guys I'm not going to play the whole thing. You know what I mean? We got too much to get through, and we're already 25 minutes into the freaking show, 26. Anyways, we're going to get into Blanche Patel gives update after James Comey indicted for threats to harm Trump. Okay, so that's regarding the seashell 8647 picture that came out last year. Let's go ahead and see this.
Today, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is at on or about May.
What's up, brother Hardwire? Great to see you in the chat. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Good morning.
15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life.
Oh, we got a few legends coming in. We got Big Dan as well. Yes, I hit the like button. Great to see you. And he says, the grounds are too wet to plant corn yet. I get you. And we got Brother 13 as well. Shout out to you, my man. Great to see you. Hopefully you're also enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday and having a great week as well.
And to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of...
Real quick, Mr. Jack Talcott in the building as well. Blessings to you, kind sir. Great to see you in the chat this morning.
Of 10 years. So I think it's fair to say that threatening the life of anybody is dangerous and potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice. Over the past year, this department has charged dozens of cases involving threats against all sorts of individuals. We take these seriously, every single one of them. For example, just today in the Northern District of Florida, there was a guilty plea from an individual who threatened multiple political leaders, including President Trump. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, where this case was indicted earlier today, there are multiple threats cases very similar to this one, including one where the defendant pled guilty recently to threatening former President Biden, another one that's scheduled to go to trial this summer, another one indicted, an individual was indicted for threatening Tom Homan. I say that to say that while this case is unique and this indictment stands out because of the name of the defendant, his alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate and that we will always investigate and regularly prosecute. I want to take a moment to thank the hardworking members of the FBI who investigated this case over the past 11 months or so, the United States Secret Service who also assisted in this investigation, and the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina.
They've been investigating this for 11 months. Give me a break.
Led by United States Attorney Ellis Boyle, who's standing to my right. This was an investigation that remains ongoing. That's been ongoing for about a year. And that's all we're going to say about it today. I will let the U.S. Attorney Boyle speak now, and then after that, Director Patel. Thank you.
I think we're all broken. No, that's facts.
Earlier today.
Listen, I'm broken, but I'm still here. You know what I mean? I might be a little broken. I might be Mr. Potato Head over here. You know, where I got to build myself every day. But hey, we're still fucking here standing.
A grand jury in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned a true bill indicting Mr. James Comey with committing 2 felonies. Count 1, he knowingly and willfully made a threat to kill and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in violation of 18 U.S.C. 871A. Count 2, he knowingly and willfully transmitted an...
What's up, Chasing Ghosts? Great to see you in the chat as well. Good morning.
Commerce, a communication that contained a threat to kill President Trump in violation of 18 U.S.C. 875C. Mr. Comey will be given every form of due process all citizens are entitled to receive, to include a trial by a jury of his peers. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, it doesn't matter who you are. We take all threat cases seriously and prosecute anyone who violates federal law, regardless of title or status. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. Nobody should be above the law. I think everybody should work within the law, right? No government official should be able to have some sort of where they get away with shit. And that's the sad thing about all of it. It really is a two-tiered justice system, not just with money, but also within influence, power, politicians. Obviously, those go all in the same hand.
Thank you. As you heard from the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney,
Crystal,
former
good
FBI
morning.
Director James Comey has now been indicted for 2 felony counts. While many of you may read this indictment and view this matter as a simple investigation, it is the farthest thing from that. Every single investigation this FBI and our partners at the Department of Justice undertake, especially those that involve the threats to harm or hurt or even kill individuals, whether they hold public office or civilians in our country, are met with the same measure of investigative prowess and tools and personnel in partnership with the Department of Justice as anyone else. As the U.S. Attorney indicated, James Comey will be afforded every matter of due process under the United States Constitution. And as the Attorney General indicated, this has been a case that's been investigated over the past 9, 10, 11 months. These cases take time. Our investigators work methodically. They are career agents, career prosecutors who work these matters. They call the balls and strikes in the field as they see fit pursuant to the facts of the case and the law. They took that information and made a presentment to a grand jury, a jury of peers in the district in which the alleged crime took place. And that grand jury spoke, and that grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against James Comey. James Comey.
Shit, real quick, we got Brother So Loud coming in with the $4.99, the 5 spot, man. I very much appreciate it. He says, hit the like button on both sides. Yes, I very much appreciate that, Brother So Loud. Thank you for that. If you guys are on the vertical side, make sure you guys double tap that screen. If you guys are on the horizontal, make sure you guys hit that like. I very much appreciate that and your engagement. Let's go. Thank you, So Loud.
Threatened the life of the President of the United States. And as you all now know, shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology. All of that information was presented to the grand jury, and Mr. Comey will have his day in court and his ability to speak to a jury of his peers. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just take a couple of questions.
Mr. Attorney General, the Justice Department in this filing today also issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Comey. Is it your belief that he is a continued public threat? And is there a request also for detention that you anticipate will be made in this case?
So the Department of Justice does not issue arrest warrants, grand juries do. And so the grand jury returned an indictment and arrest warrant. I expect that there will be communication with Mr. Comey's counsel, and we'll go from there. This case will proceed like hundreds of others do every year.
Real quick, guys. Unfortunately, this vape just died on me. So I'm going to grab the other one that's on the charger back here. So just give me a second.
There will be some sort of arraignment set by the judge or assigned to the magistrate judge. And when that happens, you'll know about it.
But this is being handled differently from the last time he was indicted. That's my reference. In this case, the department requested an arrest warrant, right?
Well, I don't think that it's public or clear what the department requested. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. Go ahead. Yes.
Sir, how will you prove intent
We're back.
when, as the director had acknowledged, Mr. Comey said he did not associate 86 with doing harm and he took it down?
How come this is what I come back to? Come on, Steve. Shit.
He said it was political speech, not an intent to harm the president.
Well, it's not. This case was indicted today. This conduct occurred about a year ago, May 15th.
Hell yeah, 5150. Did you get your name all fixed up or whatever?
Last year. There's been a tremendous amount of investigation.
You and Virginia Chaos, I think, both came in and you both had numbers as names.
And how do you prove intent in any case? You prove intent with witnesses, with documents, with the defendant himself to the extent it's appropriate. And that's how we'll improve intent in this case. And so I think that talking about
be safe out there, no.
What Mr. Comey will or will not do if there's a trial, when there's a trial, it's very premature for me to do that today.
General Lynch, I want to ask you a quick question about, there's a number of other different types of conduct Comey has been accused of over the past. One of them is abuse of FISA warrants. I wanted to ask if there's anything that we could talk about today in regards to that, but on a separate matter, if I may ask any more updates about the ballistics forensics analysis with the shooting that happened over the weekend.
So on the first question, no, there's nothing else to report about any investigations or anything involving Mr. Comey except the indictment that was returned today by the grand jury. I don't have anything further to talk about with the ballistics that are still being analyzed. And I said it yesterday, and every law enforcement
hell yeah, 5150. Good to hear.
Who is speaking on this issue is saying the same thing as they should, which is that this is an ongoing investigation with really, really smart experts trying to understand what happened in that shooting and where the bullets went and ended up and where the bullets came from. And once that is at a place where we can definitively say, to the extent we can definitively say, we will let you know.
Director Comey posted this almost a year ago. Why bring this case now? Did you always feel like this was a strong process?
Right. That's kind of one of those, like, you guys were investigating, quote unquote, for 11 months. Man, I just
Stop the cap.
I don't think it takes that much investigating to figure out what's happening, but you know.
Prosecution, or did something change recently?
This investigation just didn't come now. It's the result of a lot of work by law enforcement over the past year. We don't time when we bring cases around anything other than when the investigation is at a place where we should go to the grand jury, and that's exactly what we did in this case as well.
As a former FBI director, you may not agree with what he did. Should he be able to turn himself in as a former FBI director? He's not a flight risk.
I didn't say he can't turn himself in.
So he's not under arrest right now, and he may be able to.
I don't know whether he's under arrest right now. I'm here talking to you. The grand jury issued an arrest.
Yeah, Graham, that's wild. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Happy Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
I think that the way that this happens is different in every case. It's fact intensive. It depends on who, you're right, who the defendant is. It depends on whether he has counsel. It depends on what the judge wants done. And so I don't know when the judge will schedule an initial arraignment. If that will be scheduled by the magistrate or the district court judge, I am sure. I don't know if you want to speak to that. Or if it's just something that will come up in the next coming days, you'll know when it happens. As far as what Mr. Comey does between now and then, I'm going to leave that up to the line prosecutors in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the FBI agents, and the work that they're doing.
Why, Director Patel, maybe you said that it's a complicated thing. A lot of people might think it's an easy case. Why did it take so long? I know that you guys chose to go with this now.
Shit, happy birthday, Graham. That's fucking epic. Well, thank you for hanging out and sharing your birthday with us, man. Great to see you.
To the layman just looking at this case, or layperson looking at the case, it was an Instagram post. He apologized. Why did it take so long?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details of the investigation itself, but a lot of these cases, you could look at when the threats were made and when charges are brought. They're not easy cases. And so we have to, there's a communication that's sent in allegedly in this case. And so that means that we have to look at devices. Mr. Comey is a lawyer. He has lawyers. So the extent that we're looking at materials that are potentially privileged, we have to get a wall, set up a wall and let totally independent lawyers look at those. And so that doesn't happen overnight or quickly. And the statute of limitations of this is 5 years. We brought it in under 1 year. So that's really where we're at.
It's clear that you don't want to talk specifics today. But to the American public, can you at least give us a sense of whether you have hard evidence or evidence that shows that
I'm not going to say any of this. I don't think so anyway.
Mr. Comey intended for President Trump to be harmed? And then secondarily, for critics who say, where does free speech end and an actual threat of violence begin?
I don't know what critics say that, especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at. And it's not, in my mind, a difficult line for one to cross over one way or the other. You are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision and a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. And so whether there is a defense, as you just described, maybe there is, but the government will have evidence. I am not going to talk about the evidence that we have. That's unfair to him. It's unfair to the prosecutors, but it's enough to say that the grand jury returned an indictment. I'm just take one more question.
All right, that's all we're going to get. I mean, you're not going to squeeze anything more out of this, okay? That's just the way it is. We got the most amount of information we really could out of it. All right, White House correspondent dinner shooting suspect expected to face more charges than what he's already been, charged with. Or we'll find out. Let's see. Here we go.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. A live look right now there in Washington, D.C. at the White House as the state dinner upcoming in several hours. We'll see what happens, who is in attendance, some of the dignitaries, and we talk about the pomp and circumstance so much in full effect around this royal visit. He did address the joint session of Congress, the first since 1991 when Queen Elizabeth II spoke to those lawmakers. But we're also talking about security in the aftermath of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. This visit was somewhat in question as we are learning more information as the Justice Department says more charges could be coming against Cole Thomas Allen for the man accused of storming a security checkpoint with a shotgun at that White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend. Cole Allen currently behind bars on 3 federal charges, including attempted assassination of the president. Let's be joined right now here by Fox's Sarah Allegre live in Los Angeles tonight. Sarah, what more can you tell us about some of the charges this individual faces?
Well, Andy Mack, investigators just continuing to build that case, and they say they have a strong one against 31-year-old Cole Allen. He lived with his parents here in the L.A. area prior to the attack. They're pointing to what they call a more deliberate and widespread plot, saying, Cole Allen wasn't just...
That's totally interesting, Huggy. I actually really appreciate that context. He says, I think they will have a hard time convicting him for the simple fact that, yes, it's true, 86 can mean kill, but anyone who's worked restaurants, 86 means throw out or remove. And yes, like club owners, music venues. Yeah, 86, that motherfucker, he's getting the fuck out. Yeah, exactly. 100% Huggy. I appreciate that context.
Targeting the president, but also other high-ranking officials as well.
Make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination.
We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the...
We just showed this with him. So let's go and fast forward.
Yeah, right now, Allen, a middle school and high school tutor in Torrance, California, facing 3 federal charges, including the attempted assassination of the president, a charge that could mean life in prison. Prosecutors also charging him with transporting firearms across state lines and using a weapon during a violent crime. Federal authorities say their response was immediate here in this investigation, stretching across coastlines.
The FBI immediately launched teams to Los Angeles to interview his family and also New London, Connecticut, where we obtained valuable information. We also dispatched fixed-wing aircraft across the country to transport any evidence and devices that were collected in the home to be immediately exploited.
That's interesting that this happened on Hannity on Monday. I didn't actually catch this, so I'm glad that they're actually playing back this part from Monday.
Exploited by our technicians back here in Washington and down at Quantico.
Yeah, and the feds
There's the
sharing these
Mossberg.
photos of the weapons Ellen brought to the Washington Hilton. We have that
Little pea
shotgun
shooter.
and handgun as well, both purchased in California, and then again brought across state lines, according to investigators for the attack. Prosecutors also calling it a well-planned one at that. They say Allen sent an email to family beforehand, calling himself a, quote, friendly federal assassin. We know he booked a room at the Washington Hilton Hotel weeks in advance, actually on April 6th. Now, investigators trying to answer this question: how did those weapons make it inside? The FBI telling Fox Digital it's currently combing through a ton of surveillance video, just trying to piece together and understand how Allen was able to dodge past security Saturday night, that Secret Service checkpoint, all with the president nearby. Now, we do know investigators still in its early stages right now when it comes to the investigation. Federal agents just working to build out, one, Allen's online footprint, and also looking into whether or not he had any kind of help here. Now, we know he hasn't entered a plea quite yet, but is scheduled to appear back in court for a detention hearing coming up this Thursday. Andy Mack, back to you.
Thank you so much. I do want to ask you, because security...
My true worry on this is that he didn't necessarily only work on his own. That's really the actual concern. You know that there's some sort of weird connection somewhere where someone on the inside was like help guiding, making sure that this kind of happened. That's the kind of shit that I'm actually worried about.
Security called into question.
Especially if they're like governmental officials, like they actually represent people.
So much so at this Washington Hilton, because there was a previous assassination attempt back in 1981 of Ronald Reagan, and in attendance, the president, the vice president, also Speaker of the House. What more can you tell us about security concerns and how they're potentially addressing that for future events?
Well, we know President Trump had some major...
Yeah, that's crazy, Charles. I actually have the step-by-step of what happened on that whole thing. Remember I showed you guys, especially during like the strikes and stuff like that with Iran, there's this channel on YouTube that does like breakdowns. And I actually saw the breakdown and where they showed that he tripped and fell over, and then they got on top of him and then arrested him. And the guy that got shot, he shot at the guy but missed. He actually missed him, and luckily didn't hit anybody else either. But then he tripped and fell, and then that probably is what saved his actual life, is that he tripped and fell, and then he got, where he's on his stomach and he gets slapped. Boom, here goes the handcuffs. So, yeah, very interesting.
Talks with White House leaders just yesterday to go over the security plan, not only for the president, but for
his
cabinet as well, rather, as they continue to make these public appearances, and then also talks of rescheduling the White House Correspondents' Dinner relatively soon. Security, of course, just with this recent attack Saturday under the microscope.
All right, very good. Sarah, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We'll continue to follow this story moving forward. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great reporting there as we are learning more about exactly who Cole Thomas Allen is, the 31-year-old man now charged with attempted assassination of the president following that incident.
As you guys know, we like the facts, so let us know the facts, Jack.
Over the weekend at the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington Hilton. And obviously we're talking about this, and we heard from lawmakers yesterday talking about how a ballroom at the White House could have prevented this. Some questions about whether a White House Correspondents' Dinner would even be held there. But for more on this, let's go out to Caroline Shively with this report on DHS funding, and also...
we actually haven't. So, this is actually kind of perfect timing to do it. Let's get the money part over with. You know what I mean?
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Now, those were actual factual.
Denied.
A potential ballroom making its impact with a security incident like that.
President Trump proudly showing plans last month for the White House ballroom.
I remember this.
Private funding.
It's all donors. There's not one dime of government money going in.
Yeah, there's no tax money is the point, and what he's saying here. This is when he got pressed by a judge on this whole thing.
But now some Republican lawmakers are pushing harder than ever for Congress to pay for it after a gunman
Why?
breached a security checkpoint at a press gala.
Oh, like as if they should have to at this point. Like that validates them actually having to do it. I understand what
the
they're
weekend,
getting at.
attended by the Trumps and cabinet members.
This is not about Trump. It's about the presidency of the United States. It's about the person who occupies.
He's not wrong, actually. I'm gonna give Lindsey Graham you know, an olive branch here. You don't necessarily have to respect the person, but you got to respect the position. And like you guys know that I mean I harped on fucking Biden. I've harped on Trump. I've harped on everybody. I mean actually, but the truth is you don't have to respect them, but you have to respect the position, man.
That office not being put at risk if they choose to go off campus.
You need to have a safe, secure facility on the White House grounds for these big events.
Others are divided over whether taxpayers should contribute to the now $400 million addition.
There will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex. Underneath this ballroom will be infrastructure that is national security centric.
Meanwhile, Democrats remain strongly opposed to the 90,000 square foot construction project, especially when Department of Homeland Security still isn't funded.
And he started to build this ballroom long before any incident. He also promised the American people that this was going to be built with private dollars. And so
AOC.
The idea that they are now trying to change the rationale for this in retrospect doesn't quite add up.
Acting Attorney General Tom.
What do you mean it doesn't add up, AOC? It's pretty simple to me, actually. I mean, whether I like it or not, and it's irrelevant, actually. It's pretty simple to get. Anyways, let's go ahead and see if we have any more information. There was basically a continuation of this Comey thing. And let's go ahead and bring this up and see if there's any more facts that we can pull up real quick. I don't need to hear some analysts talk about it, but I do want to see if they have photos, pictures, all that stuff. And here is the infamous picture that is being talked about here. This was posted on Instagram, actually, by James Comey, and it actually went viral. I mean, this whole thing definitely went viral. Now, again, yes, some people thought and think it means to kill Trump, but also it could mean to get rid of Trump, like you're boot him out of office or whatever the case is. So that will be the argument in court. Absolutely.
Talking about the grand jury bringing forth this indictment. I said this cool shell formation on my beach walk. He did subsequently delete this post, saying it was not a post to be violent, but more a political message. So let's dive into this here on Live Now from Fox. Bring in former federal prosecutor, friend of the program, Nima Rahmani. Nima, thank you so much.
We don't need to hear from him. Let's go and see if we have any other. Oh, here's Comey. Let's see if we actually get to hear from him.
This is not some.
Nope. We don't get to hear from him. Let's see here if there's any other imaging or where we actually hear Comey respond or say anything. Now, I actually have the response where he says he's innocent. So this is worthless right here. Well, actually, it wasn't completely worthless because I got to show you guys the actual picture itself, I guess. So anyways, okay. Police update: 5-year-old child and 2 men were injured after a DC shooting that happened yesterday. Says the Metropolitan Police Department is investigating a shooting that left a 5-year-old child and 2 adult men injured Tuesday evening. According to police, the initial call came in around 7:10 to 7:15 p.m., and authorities later confirmed that 3 victims were shot, including a child. The investigation remains ongoing. Anyone with information about the incident is urged to contact the local police department. That means they don't know who the fuck did this, or they haven't, meaning they don't have anyone in custody at least yet. Let's go ahead and see what's happening.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. We are following some breaking news out of Washington, D.C. Police say 3 people were shot in a courtyard area there tonight. 2 men and a 5-year-old found with gunshot wounds, non-life-threatening injuries taken to the hospital, according to D.C. police on the scene there tonight. We just got an update. This is just from a few minutes ago.
Everybody good?
Good.
All right. Good evening. I'm Jeff Carroll, Interim Chief of Police here at the Metropolitan Police Department. I want to give you an update regarding the shooting that occurred here approximately 7:10 this evening. Members of the Metropolitan Police Department responded here in the 400 block of N Street Northwest at approximately 7:10 tonight for the report of the shooting. When officers arrived on the scene in the courtyard area through the walkway over here, they located 2 adult males that were suffering from gunshot wounds, appeared to be non-life-threatening. They were transported to a local hospital for treatment. When the officers were on the scene initially, they were advised that a child had also been shot and had been transported from the location by a parent. Officers came to local hospitals. They located a 5-year-old child that had been in the area of the courtyard and had also been shot. At this point, the child has non-life-threatening injuries.
Real quick, speaking of my man right here, he actually just sent in a Cash App as well, Mr. Al Patterson. He says, for left-handed tobacco with the 420. My man, thank you very much for making that shit rain in the Cash App where I get to keep 100% of the proceeds, my man. I very much appreciate that. Making it rain over here.
We're looking for what's described as 2 individuals wearing all dark clothes that shot from the area here in the 400 block of N Street. It appears to be indiscriminately into the courtyard area and then fled here on foot. We're asking for the public's help in this situation. If anyone was in the area, has any images or any information as it relates to this shooting, we would ask them to call the MPD line at 202-727-9099 or 50411. Obviously, this is tragic. Gunfire here in the community for no reason. We really need the community's help tonight to locate the individual who struck a child.
Yeah, but we need to have a little bit more information than just that.
And struck these 2 individuals that were here. Also, give you an update, approximately 5 minutes later at 7:15, we also responded to a shooting in the 3300 block of Mount Pleasant Street Northwest. When officers arrived on the scene there, they located 1 individual, 1 male on the scene that had been struck. We determined that another individual had actually been transported to a local hospital for treatment. In that situation, it appears there was an argument that occurred between individuals that potentially...
It's not just a 5-year-old, and 2 other men were also shot in this whole thing. So
2 of the individuals, the suspect and one of the victims, knew each other, and then the suspect discharged a firearm.
It's not like it happened at midnight. It happened, the initial call came in around 7:10 to 7:15 p.m. So I'm sure he was out with his parents.
In that case, we're also looking for anyone who may have information as it relates to that or who may have been in that area at approximately 7:15 to please contact MPD. And with that, I'll take any questions as it relates to these 2 incidents.
They're not going to have any information that they're going to give. Watch. Let's see.
There actually have been some community concerns about the possibility of violence in this area, and that MPD at the district level has
Man, you can hear him breathing like a motherfucker. He's squeaking.
With the residents in this immediate area?
Yes, that's correct. So this is one of the areas that we've been giving increased patrols to. We've had members of our crime suppression team, as well as members of our task force teams that have been here in this area. And
0 parents? How do you know that? How do you know that? Do you have like other information that the cops don't have or something?
In this area.
You should call the department and let them know.
And to address some of the concerns that are over here.
Did they hear the shots? I just really part of it.
Yeah, so the officers were about 2 blocks away. So when the call came out, we received alerts from ShotSpotter and we received 911 calls kind of simultaneously as it relates to that.
For the 2 individuals in this case, did they get into the car? Do you have a vehicle description? Do you have any other description other than the close number?
No, so at this point, the only thing we have is they were last seen running eastbound in the 400.
Cameron, I can't fucking help it. And especially when I'm an audio dude, I hear everything. You know what I mean? I can't help it. And I call it out. I can't just sit there like, you know what's funny is actually, before I say it, I don't just say it like that. I think about like, should I say that? You know, like, you know, sometimes I do. And then I'll be like listening to it like, God, this is bothering the shit out of me. You know what I mean? And then I'll say it.
A block of N Street from this location.
Chief, can you confirm that it's a 5-year-old girl?
The information I have
you
is
don't
a
know
5-year-old boy. Again, that's preliminary information. All right. No.
Other shooting at all related to this?
No, there's no indication that either of these shootings were related. As I said,
what does that have to do with anything?
That stems from an argument between 2 individuals that know each other. All right. There's no other questions?
You know what has happened in this community for literally decades, right? The residents here have been traumatized.
I'm really, you know, they keep talking about the residents, the people that live around there, worried about violence and stuff like that. It's really interesting to me that no one here is asking questions about the 5-year-old kid. Why is that not happening? Anyways, I'm over it. I'm already pissed off at that story. And we're running already 55 minutes into the show, and we still got 3 fucking stories to get through. All right, so we got to get into global energy market reacts as the UAE set to leave OPEC this week. Oh, shit. Let's go ahead and bring this up and see what we're dealing with here.
Hey there, welcome back to Live Now from Fox. My name is Alexandra Goldberg. It is good to be with you here on this Tuesday night. Now let's move to some new developments in global oil markets. United Arab Emirates announcing today it will break away from the oil cartel OPEC effective May 1st. The UAE is the group's third largest oil producer, and that's behind Saudi Arabia and Iran. Now, the U.S. Energy Information Administration says OPEC...
Yo, Blue, I don't give a fuck who it came from. And I can guarantee you that it came from the fucking officer that was speaking out there. How do you know shit?
Countries collectively produce about 35% of the world's crude oil, saying historically oil prices tend to increase when OPEC...
You didn't present any facts. You presented your opinion about something. Shut up, bitch.
Their production. This departure, a major shakeup for global energy markets and a sign of deepening friction with Saudi Arabia. Fox Business correspondent Ashley Webster has the latest details from Tel Aviv.
With peace talks at a stalemate and a shipping jam in the Strait of Hormuz, the energy sector took another shock.
Yes, I did see that. The very first 900,000 barrels landed in China, I think, yesterday or the day before? I think it was the day before. But yes, 900,000 barrels did hit. The very first one did.
Arab Emirates announcing it is quitting OPEC. The UAE has long criticized the group's strict production quotas. It now means OPEC's control over global oil supplies will weaken and the UAE can ramp up production. But it also widens a growing rift between UAE and Saudi Arabia, and it's a hit to Gulf unity.
We believe that the world is currently undersupplied, and our exit at this time is the right time for it.
The decision will be effective May 1st, and it comes amid an energy crisis triggered by Iran's shutdown of the critical Strait of Hormuz that remains at a standstill. Iran's offer is to end the war and reopen the strait if the U.S. lifts its naval blockade. But it appears, much like the ships trapped, to be going nowhere. Tehran wants to delay discussions as well about the country's nuclear program. All of this is not playing in Washington, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio telling Fox News it's a non-starter.
We have to ensure that any deal that is made, any agreement that is made, is one that definitively prevents them from sprinting towards a nuclear weapon at any point.
Meantime, with a fragile ceasefire in place, Hezbollah has been launching drones into northern Israel, while Israeli forces have been demolishing the terrorist infrastructure, with the Israeli Prime Minister saying the mission is not over.
We are destroying their terror infrastructure. We are killing dozens of their militants, and more is coming.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is accusing the United States of entering into a war with no exit strategy. President Trump responded by saying the Chancellor doesn't know what he's talking about. In Tel Aviv, Ashley Webster, Fox News.
Ashley Webster with Fox Business on that report. Now let's pop up this post on social media. This is from Reuters national security correspondent Phil Stewart tweeting, quote, UAE energy minister told Reuters on Tuesday that leaving OPEC and OPEC Plus gives the United Arab Emirates flexibility as it has no obligations under the group, and says the country did not directly consult others, including Saudi Arabia, before the decision.
Gee, I got you, Steve. I got you, my man.
Stupid.
To break it all down with me here is Julian Kergesian, economics lecturer at McGill University in Canada. Julian, good evening to you.
Yes, make sure, let's get the likes up, man. You guys don't have to like all this craziness that's happening around the world or here in this United States of America, but you guys can like it for me and what we're doing here on Insane Wheels. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alexandra.
So first, I just want to get through some of the details, and then we'll talk about the economic impacts here. But it appears the UAE does want to increase its oil output. What's the country's rationale for leaving OPEC?
Well, there may be a couple. One, I think the oil and the OPEC and the quota story is definitely one of the key underlying factors in the decision. They currently produce about 3 million barrels per day, the United Arab Emirates, 3 million, and they feel that they can go up to 5 million, and they can. And it's interesting. The United Arab Emirates is very unique in the Gulf.
Yeah, no kidding, Steve Easy. That's hilarious. Yes, we do have the Diamond Effect this evening, and it's scheduled for 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. That would be 8:10 Eastern. But yes, we do run a couple minutes late on that show. Yes, because we got guys that that are also on the show. It's not just me, and so I'm reliant on everybody else too.
Area. They're also a business hub, a services hub, a tourism hub, and they're a financial
What's
hub.
up,
They're also a
Sickcaster, my
major
man?
oil exporter.
Thank you for the raid this
so
morning.
they what they've seen recently, all of their clients are in South Asia and in East Asia. Number 1 is Japan. Number 2 is China. Number 3 is India. Their fastest growing customer is China, which purchased over a third of the Emirates oil last year. And so,
damn, China bought a third of Emirates oil last year, UAE. Wow.
They see a fast growing customer in China. The UAE is almost unique in that it also has a pipeline that can take its oil out of the Strait of Hormuz into the Gulf of Oman. And so they feel they can go from 3 to 5 million barrels. They can. They have stable customers in Asia, which are the biggest oil importers in the world. They're closely aligned with Israel, which has put them at odds with some of their partner countries in the GCC area, in the Persian Gulf area. They're the most closely aligned. And what that has done is made them a magnet for Iranian counterstrikes. During this 2-month war, the UAE sustained a lot of damage. They're highly vulnerable, and they're seeking a new security architecture as well. They're at odds with Saudi Arabia, not only because of these oil quotas and the cartel, but also because they wanted a more unified response to Iran. And they haven't gotten that. So they may be going not their own way, but maybe seeking closer ties with Israel and the United States, even though all of their business,
Trust me, I need those reminders, so I appreciate
their
it.
business in terms of oil is with Asian countries.
Talk to us a little bit more about that oil quota. What is it? Why would it be frustrating to the UAE?
Well, like any cartel, the OPEC cartel, which is dominated by Saudi Arabia, when prices are lower, the main player in the cartel, Saudi Arabia.
I like how this guy always dips his head to the right on, for him. He's like, every single time he gets like his end of the point, he speaks like this. I just can't help myself.
Can tell each of the member countries. Of course, there's a board meeting, but again, Saudi Arabia dominates. So just like any cartel, the dominant member can say, "Well, you have to cut your production to raise prices." And right now, there are still production quotas. They're much looser than a few years ago. But the UAE sees that the world is, they are right in the sense that the world is undersupplied right now with oil. And in fact, we could be heading for literally a global economic catastrophe unless the Strait of Hormuz is open, not only for oil, but also fertilizer.
Yo, if you're going to get your, if you're going to talk shit, by the way, Flames, you better get the facts right. I never was in Coast Guard. I've never been in anything where it's federal. I was federally licensed, right? I mean, I had a tankerman PIC and a captain's license, which is endorsed to me and given to me by the Coast Guard. That's where you get your licenses. That's the federal government, right? Where they give you a license to go do a job. But I never did anything in the Coast Guard or any military, no cop shit, no nothing. So keep trying, bitch.
And so the UAE sees a chance now to get out of the production quotas of this cartel and use their pipeline to the Gulf of Oman to get more oil out. And so they just don't want to be restrained by Saudi Arabia's diktats on how much they can produce and how much they can export.
Yeah, it's Flames. He's blocked on this channel. He's got like 17 different sock accounts, and I've blocked all of them. So if he acts up, just block him.
Talk about the Strait of Hormuz, but I wanted to ask you, could the
and
UAE's
everything they stand for, Steve,
lower the price of oil per barrel?
It could, because they're OPEC's losing not only a member.
Yeah, I said it, and let me say it again. You are a absolute grade A bitch. That's what you are, cunt. You are an absolute bitch. I'll spit on you. Look at this. Fucking bitch. That's what you get.
That accounts for 15% of total oil production in the cartel. But the departure of UAE was going to reduce discipline in the cartel. It may encourage other members to leave. It could lead to the breakup of OPEC, actually. And if the cartel is broken up, no single member, not Saudi Arabia, no cartel, will be controlling a third of the world's oil supply. So prices could well go down. The only factor here, the biggest factor, the elephant in the room, is the war with Iran. If that continues, no matter what United Arab Emirates does, no matter what the cartel does, if the war continues, there's going to be upward pressure on prices and a lot of uncertainty in world oil markets.
Well, I did want to ask you here, of course, to that point that you made about a potential breakup. That could be very interesting, something to watch for in the future. But just moving on here, will we see any significant shifts in the oil markets in the immediate because of this?
Well, I think we will. I think UAE can get more oil out through its pipeline to the Gulf of Oman, but I don't think it'll be enough to make a huge difference. But what we've seen in the last few days is the price of the world price of oil come down from about $115 a barrel to just
Damn, it went back up to above 110. Fuck.
shy of 100 to about $99.
So it's at around 99 somewhat now.
Part of that has been an expectation, like this friction among members, and that if one member leaves and other members leave, you have a divide and rule dynamic where Saudi Arabia loses.
Yo, Prez, to answer the question, his name is Flames Trotter. He's a absolute troll that trolls everybody. He calls everyone a cop. Everybody that he talks about, everything, everybody's a cop. You know what I mean? Even Black Dragon, he's a cop. Hollywood, he's a cop. Everyone's a cop to that motherfucker. Fucking
its
bitch.
Control. But again, an intense, like a return to hostilities with Iran could easily push oil way back up in the immediate term. Medium long term, without this war, prices will go down because of what the Emirates have done, their departure from OPEC, and they intend to pump 2 million more barrels a day.
Of course, there is a lot of heightened geopolitical tensions right now. Of course, the war in Iran, some uncertainty over the Strait. Julian, does it surprise you that it came right now, the UAE's departure at this very moment?
It does and it doesn't. I wasn't expecting it any day. What I was expecting, along with many other observers, is that this war with Iran, that the U.S. and Israel are fighting with Iran, it was putting pressure on an alliance that was already fragile. Some members are closer to the United States and Israel. Some members are not as close. And I think one of the things this war has revealed is just how vulnerable countries like the UAE, Kuwait, all of them are very vulnerable to Iranian counterattacks. 60%.
Well, yeah, of course they are.
Of GCC countries, that's Gulf cooperation.
I mean, they have a lot of different types of leverage in the region, meaning Iran.
Council countries, the Arab countries of the Persian Gulf, 60% of their water supplies come from desalination plants, which could be knocked out in a day, and they take years to build. And so where would they get their water? Iran can do incredible damage in a matter of hours and days to their water.
Well, you mean in a matter of minutes could fuck them up for months, if not years.
Their desalination, to their oil infrastructure, and also to
you can remove a whole civilization that way. I mean, that's a humanitarian crisis.
Food supplies that come in through the Strait of Hormuz. So the war, given the fragilities that it's revealed, it's intensified frictions among members. But no, I wasn't expecting UAE to do this any day.
Well, you, me.
All right. So we're going to move on. We're going to get into Comey response to the DOJ indictment saying, quote, "I'm still innocent." Well, let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll quickly discuss it. Here we go.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. My name is Alexandra Goldberg. I am your host for a couple of more hours tonight. It is good to be with you on this Tuesday. Take a look at your screen here. This is the Instagram post that the Department of Justice is investigating. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted for a second time by the Justice Department on 2 counts, including threatening to kill or injure the President Trump and making threats on social media. The charges are connected to a May 2025
What's up, Charles?
Instagram.
Good morning, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your Whip 'em Out Wednesday on this beautiful morning.
Photo. Comey says he's innocent. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has more on this story.
Former FBI Director James Comey is indicted again by the Department of Justice, this time over a photo on social media which officials say constituted a threat against President Trump.
I think it's fair to say that threatening the life of anybody is dangerous and potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
The May 2025 photo in question depicts seashells on the beach arranged in a pattern making out 86-47, which critics said symbolizes killing or taking out Mr. Trump. Comey quickly took down the photo and wrote, quote, "I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence."
While this case is unique and this indictment stands out because of the name of the defendant, his alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate and that we will always investigate and regularly prosecute.
President Trump told Fox News at the time Comey knew exactly what the message meant.
That meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear.
Critics of the president say he's using the Justice Department to prosecute his political opponents.
This is a politicization of the Justice Department in a very dangerous way.
In a Substack post, James Comey says he's ready to fight in court.
I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary.
Comey is facing 2 charges. They come with a prison sentence of up to 10 years. At the White House, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
By the way, we have well over 100 people in between both the live streams. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen. Listen, you guys don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we're doing over here on Insane Wheels. So thank you guys.
Correspondent Mike Emanuel reporting on that. Take a look here. The Associated Press breaking this news this morning. Ex-FBI Director James Comey indicted by the Department of Justice over 2025 online post officials say was a threat against President Trump. The Associated Press writing this time, of course, it's over the social media photo of seashells arranged on a beach that officials said constituted a threat against the president. Now, take a look here again. This is that.
We already know the image. All right. So we don't need anybody else to come on there as an analyst to go ahead and tell us what's going on. We already know what's going on. All right. We're going to get into our final story for the morning, ladies and gentlemen. Suspect charged with attempted assassination of President Trump in White House, a correspondence dinner shooting. So this just came out. Okay. This came out about 5 minutes before we went live. So this is our latest update on this particular thing. Here we go.
Joining us now is Eric Faddis. He's a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney joining us on Live Now from Fox. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. We appreciate it.
It's good to be with you.
I want to start with this. What does attempted assassination of a president require prosecutors to prove in court?
Sure. So there are a number of elements that the prosecution is going to have to prove. They've got to prove intent. They've got to prove that Cole Allen intended to kill the president. And because it's attempted assassination, they also have to prove that he engaged in a substantial step in furtherance of that intent. They also probably have to prove that he had the opportunity to do that. They have to prove that it was him in that building and not somebody else. And, as the evidence is mounting, it's still very early on, but things are looking rather grim for Mr. Allen.
Yeah, and I also wanted to ask you this. The suspect also facing multiple firearms charges. How do those additional counts strengthen the government's case?
Sure, Chrissy. So one of the firearms charges, I believe, carries a mandatory minimum of 10 years. So that is a ton of leverage for any prosecutor. And I think that's the discharge of a firearm count here. So it just sort of bolsters the leverage that the prosecution already has, which seems to be pretty substantial and will aid them in terms of getting the outcome that they're seeking in this case.
Now, what we're hearing from authorities is they're saying this may have been planned for weeks. So how significant is that when it comes to potential sentencing?
Sure. So it's important for the charge on the merits, in addition to the elements I mentioned earlier, to prove the attempted assassination of the president. They have to prove that he had planned this, that this was not just some, a freak event that happened spur of the moment.
Right, exactly. He didn't just find himself in D.C., he wasn't there, let me visit family or something. Come on, man. He has a whole manifesto and everything.
But it looks like that's not the case based on, this history of him, some posts that he has made.
Right. And on top of that, the 2 trains he had to take, one from, California, Southern California up to Chicago, and then one train from Chicago to D.C.
As well as the email that was sent out. And so when we get to the sentencing phase, if we get there, the judge is going to look at that as of course, problematic, that this wasn't just something spontaneous that this guy did. He had been building up to this for weeks or months, and that makes him more culpable.
And I mentioned here, Eric, as I was bringing you in, that the suspect allegedly sent this disturbing email before this attack. How could that be used as evidence of intent if we're staying on this subject?
Totally. So in a case like this, prosecution has to prove an intent to kill. And, how do you do that? Well, you look at the surrounding circumstances. This email would be exhibit number one. In this email, he talks about targeting not only President Trump, but other potential high cabinet officials and secretaries as well. And so
everyone but Kash Patel in the administration. I don't know why Kash Patel was like an exception. I have no idea.
Certainly it goes to the motivation as well. And that's not something the prosecution has to prove. They don't have to prove.
Yeah, and he didn't accidentally run full-blown jogging into there either. Yeah, no kidding.
Motive. But if you got to a trial phase, the jury's going to want to see that. And like I said, that's exhibit one.
Now we're hearing questions as well about who
I have no
fired
idea
which
why,
shots.
Grim.
Really, though, how important is ballistics evidence in determining what actually happened that night?
In some senses,
now that is funny, Steve Easy. If that's true, that shit is hilarious.
is important. Jane Pirro, the federal prosecutor in this jurisdiction and former Fox News host, has said that they are at least considering other charges as this investigation proceeds. If they can tie that bullet that hit the Secret Service member to Cole Allen's gun, I've got to imagine that's another charge, and it's a very serious one. And so the ballistics evidence is important for determining.
But him, also moving guns with the intention to do a violent crime across state lines like he did. I mean, yeah.
Who fired and who may have been hit and whether additional charges are going to be warranted.
And they may even charge him on some shit on the railroad, or on the tracks, right? So anything in the Department of Transportation, if you are like, they can charge you on some of that shit. I mean, on that next level, like federal level shit.
Now, if it turns out that law enforcement fired most of those shots, does that complicate the prosecution's case at all?
Yeah, he meant melanin.
Maybe to a small extent, but not terribly so. There are other charges for like extreme indifference and attempted extreme indifference to human life, where you create a scenario that is going to create a substantial risk that someone else is going to die, and you do so with a firearm. And just because a bullet may have came from a different gun, from people responding, trying to neutralize that threat, that doesn't necessarily absolve Cole Allen of criminal responsibility there. In fact, it could lead to some additional charge along the lines of extreme indifference.
Yeah, and
all right, so let me go ahead and see if there's any other governmental posts here or images that we have not yet seen. It looks like this is them at the Torrance house.
Look at the gravity of the charges.
See.
Trying to take out the top political official in the most important country in the world is going to have great weight for this judge. I think it's a relative certainty that the judge is going to require that Cole Allen remain in detention, in custody, while this case proceeds.
And Eric, if convicted on the top charge, he could face life in prison.
Charles,
realistically, what kind of sentence range are we really looking at here?
I think it is extraordinarily likely that if he is convicted on the top charge, he is going to get life in prison. I just don't see a judge.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get probably like, 100 years or some shit. All right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for showing the love and support that you guys do here for me and on this channel, man. I'm very honored to be able to do that Monday through Friday. And then, of course, members only on Saturday morning, man. So listen, thank you guys for donating and hitting that like button, double tapping that screen on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. Listen, we're going to be back tonight for the Diamond Effect at 7:10 p.m. CST, 8:10 p.m. EST. And we're going to be discussing, I believe, Iran and some of the craziness that's going on with that. And then, of course, more of the world's madness on the news side of things tomorrow morning. So, listen, much love, honor, respect, everybody. Hopefully you all enjoy the rest of your guys' day, and God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and earth, the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels here.